Hi folks. Well, the grape harvest has begun. The grapes have started to come in a bit early. Usually it's the very end of August, but we're not quite there yet. But I looked a couple days ago and saw they were getting ripe and started picking tonight. Yeah, there are a few green ones in here and so on, but by and large the majority are ready to go. These are the wild fox grapes that grow just the vines in among the trees, along the tree rows. And this box, which is probably, I don't know, maybe 15 pounds worth of grapes in here, took me, maybe an hour and a half to pick. Some I was up on a ladder, some I was hacking through brush to get to them, but this is just the beginning of what it looks like we're going to get this year. So a lot of grape jelly, grape drink, maybe my wife will use some for a batch of homemade wine, who knows. But I'll keep you updated on this, but I just want to let you know the grapes are in. Hello folks again. As I said, the grape harvest has begun. I'm just showing another spot here where along the edge of the field we got these wild grapevines growing on trees, and you can see the clusters of the dark blue purple grapes in there. Again, these are wild fox grapes as far as I know. I don't think they were ever domestically thrown here or obviously they weren't planted here because they're not in any kind of order, but I think these are just growing wild here. And I still can't figure out why some of my grapevines seem to produce grapes and some don't. I'm just not an expert on it, but I'm just thankful for what I got this year. We've got a lot of grapes. I don't know what it was about the spring or the summer, but and even out along the field here you can see there are some grapevines that have grapes in them, and also over into that clump of trees there are some grapes growing there. So I do have, let me see if I can come in close here and show you some of the ones that are close to ground level here. You can see them in there. Some of these aren't quite ripe yet. I've got to figure out, do I want to take these yet or give them a few more days? I probably will do that, but some of these clusters look like they are pretty ripe, so I might have to spend a couple different trips picking here. This is the third time I'm out picking. I'm going to take you to the other side of the field here where you can, I won't go all the way over there, but I'll show you. In that section right there in the middle, I picked a bunch of grapes last night. There's a section there to the right where there's a little bit of a clearing. You can just see the weeds and no trees. In there are more grapes, and across this tree row here on the other side of the field is where I started, and most of them over there were ripe. I think on the south side there of the tree row they tend to ripen first, and then over in here, I know last night there were some that I picked that weren't quite ripe. I was picking near dark so I couldn't tell, but so I've got these three sections here just in this field of the wild grapes. Now if you look there in those cluster of trees, they're covered with grapevines, but there are no grapes growing there. Again, I don't know why they don't and these do. And also it looks to me like I'm dealing with two different varieties over there. There are two different sizes of grapes. Ones are a bit smaller, and then there's a larger variety. So again, I've never planted anything here. I don't know anybody in my family who ever did. So where they came from, are they just all naturally growing? Is this something that was put there sometime by one of my ancestors and just has grown wild since? I don't know. I'm just happy that I have them. So I'm going to start here with this cluster, these vines, these clusters here in the trees. And of course it's always miserable harvesting the wild grapes because they're not in nice or vineyards or at ground level, and so it's easy to just stand and pick. First thing I have to do is get to them, so I've got to hack away all these weeds, and then I can get in there. I'll show you exactly what I use for my grape picking here. Again, this is not saying you should do that, but this is what works for me. I have an 8-foot fiberglass ladder. It's not too heavy, a step ladder. I can usually get it level enough wherever I am that I can get up it to get maybe, I don't know, maybe 12 feet in the air or so to be able to pick. I can't get all the way up top of trees, but that's all right. And just have a little bit of a basket here. Then I put the grapes in. I have another box that I'll fill full. I've got your standard hedge trimmers here to get tree branches, and then I've got a brush cutter here to hack away all those weeds, and that works pretty well. It's quicker than a string trimmer. So, and then of course the one other thing that I use is, sorry about that, is just your basic pruning shears. Ideally, if I can stand here or get up the ladder and just hold the basket up and then just snip off the clusters that way, it goes the quickest that way, but it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes I have to stretch to reach some of them, so I'm not using the trimmers at that point. What I'm doing is I'm reaching out and trying to grab them with my hand and just strip pick them. So it's not perfect. I do lose some, but that's the way I've found to do it. I don't want to damage the vines or the trees too much so that they will continue to grow here year in and year out. I haven't done any pruning on any of these, and I don't know exactly how I would do that with a wild grapevine like this. So who knows, maybe I won't have grapes here in a few years, but for right now it's going great, and I want to harvest what I can because we're doing the grape drink, we're doing grape jelly, and my wife will probably do some wine from them too. So I just wanted to fill you in on what the plan was, and I'll show you some more. To date, I've put about 4 gallon bags worth of grapes, whole grapes, right into the freezer. Just washed them off, filled the bags, and froze them. That way they can be accessed later in the year. If we're just doing the grape drink or the grape juice, it's no problem. They don't have to be perfectly fresh for that. It still gives us a good flavor. And my wife thinks that she can probably even juice the grapes that had been frozen, thaw them of course first, to make the juice for wine. So we'll see how it works, but that makes it quick and easy. I don't have to process them right away. I can just get them in the freezer and come back to them later. So at any rate, that's the plan for tonight, and I will get back to you when there's more to report on this. Grape Harvest 2020. Country living on a shoestring, you gotta love it. The Grape Harvest continues. Another update for you. These are what I picked yesterday. Well, there's still about a half a box I have to sort through yet, but just to give you an idea how much we're talking here. Quite a few grapes. Most of these came from that same tree that you saw, or clump of trees that you saw the earlier part of this video with all the clusters hanging in. Most of that I picked yesterday, and some more well beyond that. So the harvest continues. You can see these are decent sized grapes, and they're going to make great grape drink and wine, grape jelly. We're going to do some processing later today. I think these my wife is going to do into grape drink, at least a batch of them. She's got her canning jars there, and she's going to do some other processing today with tomatoes. So but we've gotten, I think it's 6 or 7 gallon freezer bags now of grapes already in the freezer, and this is to do today, plus whatever else I finish up that needs to be sorted. And there are still quite a few out on the vines yet that I have to get. Hopefully I can get them before they start to go bad. But this has been an amazing year for the grape harvest, and it's continuing. So just wanted to give you this most recent update. This is the plan for today. So again, thank you for watching, and we'll give you more a little later. And part of the results of our grape processing today, we've got over 20 jars here of the grape drink. If you look close, you can see the grapes floating on the top. Basically 3 ingredients: grape, sugar, and water, and that's all it takes. I think the recipe calls for like a cup of grapes, a cup of sugar, and then just hot water. I think my wife just puts a half cup of sugar in because she doesn't like it to be too sweet, but you can sweeten it to taste. And these will certainly flavor more. You can see some of them are a little lighter than others at this point, but they'll flavor more over time as they sit, and they make a great nutritious drink. So this is part of what we did with the grapes. I think, what did my wife say? She did 27 quarts, and she still had enough grapes to juice maybe, I think she got about 2 quarts of grape juice that she'll use for whatever, whether jelly or wine. So from what you saw earlier today, earlier in this video, with the amount of grapes, this was the result. So just wanted to show you that. And there are a number of recipes for this stuff online. I won't go into detail with that, but the processing wasn't difficult, but she worked at it for a number of hours today. So we'll get back to you with more on the grape harvest. Latest batch of grapes I picked yesterday. Today what we're going to do with these is we're going to juice them. And then I'll put them in a freezer bag, and then they'll sit there in the freezer until my wife is ready to pull them out, thaw them, or excuse me, I'm sorry, the juice, pull the juice out and use it to make a batch of wine, I believe she thought. So I know you've seen me use a juicer before, but I'll give you another glimpse. Okay, we've started. As you can see, the juice is very, very thick, the pulp that comes out of there. Obviously not anywhere near as much as you get with the tomatoes. Here, I'll show you. Just take a handful, throw them down in here. Put my ram on. And it comes out like that. But it's very, very concentrated. The extra noise you hear from the juicer is because with the grapes I'm dealing with seeds. It doesn't chop up the seeds, but until it ejects them into the back here, it makes a lot of noise on the plate. So I'm going to finish the rest of this bowl off now. I don't know how much. This is a 3-quart pitcher. I don't think I'll get that, but I might get a quart and a half maybe at the most. At any rate, the foundation for both wine and grape jelly right there. Alright, I'll come back to you with another update on the grape harvest. Thanks for watching.